But I want to talk about now, not about those people who are necessarily released, though they are free from Guantanamo. So you can be free from Guantanamo, but not free, not released. What do I mean by this? One of the ways to be free from Guantanamo, let's just break it down. There were the first groups of people who were sent back or repatriated to the countries where they came from. Like myself, within 3 years, I was returned after 3 years. And most of the Europeans from the European nations who were nationals of those countries were returned to Europe. Then there were others who were sent to countries, though they were nationals of those countries, they were returned to torture. They were returned to persecution. For example, the case of several of the Russian prisoners, where in fact one of them was actually killed by the Russian government. And so going back to Russia, which in the beginning had been an option, then for any Russian prisoners was no longer a viable option, so they would have to seek to be returned elsewhere. The story of the Uyghurs, of course, is well known. There were 22 of them, and they were spread all around the world to little tiny little islands in the Atlantic and the Pacific, and El Salvador and Bermuda and Palau and Albania, because of the tentacles of China and how far they could reach and affect these prisoners, who are a Turkic people, and it would have been natural for them to go to Turkic-speaking places, but for the influence and the fear of China. And then there's the story of the prisoners who are the largest number of prisoners in Guantanamo. And who are they? They are the Saudis and the Yemenis. Now, I said the largest numbers of prisoners came from Saudi Arabia, but they're the ones you least hear about. So even now, when we're talking about the circuit, as it were, of former Guantanamo prisoners who've written, who've done interviews, who've done talks, and so forth, perhaps the only one you can think of, because he's not in Saudi Arabia, is Shakir Amr. That's probably the only one that you know. As for the others, over 100, you know nothing of them, because straight from Guantanamo, they go into Saudi Arabia, and either as part of this, and remember, it's really important to remember this, that the idea of the now toxic PREVENT program actually originated from Saudi Arabia. Gordon Brown at the time, actually, in 2008, was visiting Saudi Arabian reformation centers, or whatever you want to call them, re-education centers, and actually met with former Guantanamo prisoners or Guantanamo prisoners there. So this was happening to them. They're completely silenced. Some are still imprisoned or under different various measures of house arrest.